Hello and welcome. I'm Darlene, and I'm here with a special project for World Cardmaking Day on behalf of the Papercrafters Workshop. We believe that a handmade card is a paper hug, so send one to someone special. Thank you to all of our card makers. This day is for you. We have 5 videos premiering throughout the day to inspire you. You can get all your supplies I'm showing today at the Papercrafters Workshop. They're located in Stouffville, Ontario, Canada, just north of Toronto, but they ship across North America. Check them out. Their website is in the video description down below. And tune in right to the end. I have something special for you all watching me today. So here I am. I am doing Spooky Glow Collage card tutorial using Waffle Flower products. Some of the items that I am using today features the grip mat from Waffle Flower, the Postage Collage die, the Postage Collage Spooktacular stencil, some of their stamp sets that include the Spooktacular stamp set, the spider web stamp set, as well as their original stamp set called the Postage Collage. We will be creating this spooky card today. Some additional items you would need that I am using is some distress inks. I have Chip Sapphire, Villainous Potion, Mustard Seed, Twisted Citron. I'm also using Waffle Flower's stencil. They're called Shader number 1 double-ended blending brushes. I have my trusty Misty here as well. Our basic tools like our favorite foam adhesives. My sentiment will be using the Hero Arts Unicorn Pigment ink, and I am also using the Ranger super fine detailed embossing powder. For stamping my images, VersaFine Claire Nocturne, a stamping block. I'm also using the Pink and Main powder tool, a heat tool from WOW, and lastly, we have the glow-in-the-dark paste from Fawn, as well as a palette knife. So let's get started. To start things off, I am using my grip mat. What I love about this grip mat is that it holds things into place. I have an A2 size panel already cut out. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 using Nina Solar White cardstock. And the grip mat is sticky, so I am placing this right in the center. Another thing I like about this grip mat is that it's quite big, so to put on a stencil on top is amazing. With the Waffle Flower stencils, they are all numbered at the top. So it tells you 1 of 2, 2 of 2, 1 of 4, 2 of 4, 3 of 4, 4 of 4. So we want to start with the one that says 1 of 4 backgrounds. You could probably see it now, but because of all my inking, there is a little perimeter here to help you line that up with your card panel. With the grip mat, because it's sticky, I am just making sure my stencil is stuck all the way around so it doesn't move when I am putting my ink color on. And let's get the blending tools ready. These tools are double-ended, so I keep each tool for a light color and a dark color. And let's start off with the background. So my background is using Chip Sapphire. I'm inking my brush. I like to dab off just a little bit so I don't get those harsh marks. I start inking from the outside in. And we're going to put a layer down. Depending on how dark you like it, you can for sure go in a little bit more and color it in. So let's continue on here and we will do all the openings with the same color. So what I love about Waffle Flower is their innovative way of creating postage collage with different themes. They have really unique products, and this has been one of the popular ones in the crafting community. I am using the Halloween focused one, but there is other occasions like Thanksgiving, fall, Christmas, winter, and so on. Postage collage, as I said, is the hot trend. I love how all you need is the one die to cut out all these little pieces out to create cards. So there's lots of options and variety to get you started. So here I am just inking a little bit more blue. Because I wanted it to be a night sky, I am adding more blue, making sure my stencil piece doesn't lift up because you don't want that blue to go underneath. So be careful with my antenna here and just inking it up. So I am only using one color for the background. There is options where you can do each little postage block as a different color. You can personalize it to any way that you would like. So here, just making sure I have enough of that blue ink. Okay. So once we have our background nicely inked, we're going to take off the first stencil and put it aside and grab our second stencil. So I'm looking for the stencil that says 2 out of 4. And the nice thing about Waffle Flowers, they give you color suggestions. So this one says light orange. You could do use the color they suggest or use any of your favorite colors. So I am lining up the stencil with my image to make sure that I have them in the correct space that I want the color to fall on. So here is where I swapped orange for Twisted Citron. I wanted that bright green. And I'm going to repeat and color all the openings. So once again, I'm just going a little bit heavy-handed because I want it dark. That green calls out Halloween when you see it. It's a bright fluorescent green. Really, really nice. So I'm just holding these little flaps down because it's very delicate and it could lift. And I just want to make sure I have lots of color. One tip I find when doing the postage collage is make sure your ink pads are nice and juicy. It makes inking these backgrounds a lot faster than you're not struggling trying to grab ink. And I can't forget the little moon down here. And that is stencil number 2. So let's take off number 2. And let's grab stencil number 3. So stencil number 3 is for shadows, and the suggested color is dark orange. I used yellow in its place. So you could match up the perimeter, but I like to follow the image as well, just to make sure that I'm not stenciling too outwards. Mustard seed is my color that I chose. Let's ink that up. So there's a little skull with the little mushrooms, the glow underneath the ghost, and the cauldron here. The wings has some nice little decorative elements. I'm just really inking it up so you can see the yellow on the green. Candy corn. And that's it. There's nothing for this one. So that is stencil number 3. Lastly is stencil number 4. Number 4 gives you all the other details that is currently white. So we add the face, the top part of the cauldron, the bat. I want to make sure I place this nicely on top and stick it down. So with this color here, I picked Villainous Potion. Halloween to me is lots of greens and purples besides the orange and yellows. So, and creating like a night sky, that purple and blue work really well together. Here's the face of the skull, face of the ghost, the body, and the cauldron. So the cauldron has this very delicate piece here. So I'm just holding it down with my finger. That way I don't tear it. And the bottom. I'm just going a little bit slowly because I don't want it to tear. And what I like about inking is that if you leave it alone for a little bit, it does soften up. So it does give you a different look. Here's the bat, and the bat I'm going to go heavy-handed because I want it to really show through the blue in the background. So let's do inking. And I think I have all the spots. So that was the majority of the inking part of the postage collage. Quite easy. Next thing, while this sets off, because we don't want to work on it when it's still wet, I am going to wipe down my stencil number 2. I am using rubbing alcohol in my spray as well as a cloth. The nice thing about rubbing alcohol is that it dries really quickly. So you can use your stencil right away, because we will come back to the stencil in a little bit. So I want to make sure it's nice and dry. Next thing we are going to do is cut this panel out using the Postage collage die. What this die does is it gives you that stamp look. So I'm going to remove my panel. Just be careful that you don't tear your paper. And I'm going to put this aside. Okay. To use the postage collage, you just line up the openings with the collage, just like that, and run it through your machine. And here is one that is already cut out and ready to go. The next thing we want to do is make sure all your holes don't have any of the negatives in it. So I'm just using my fingers and just making sure all the entryways are opened. Once we have cleared it out, die cut, we are going to stamp. I am using the 3 different stamp sets. And we're going to add some decorative elements to it. And here, this one, I would need to do an acrylic block so I can target the areas. So let's put the airmail swirls on first. So the mailing part. And I am going to ink it up, not the whole thing because I don't use a lot of it. I only use partial. And I'm going to stamp just on this cauldron here. Just holding it down, letting the ink soak in and lift. The next thing is I'm going to add another swirl on the bottom side here. Oops. Want to make sure that I have enough ink, and it goes right on top here. And lift. Clean my stamp. Next thing we are going to do is the spider. I love the spider in this spider web set. I have it creeping down the candy corn here. Right over there. Cute little spider. Creates that spooky look to it. And now for the other elements, which is part of Spooktacular. We are going to find the cloud. And for this one here, I use the biggest cloud, which is right at the bottom. And we're going to do some offset stamps. So what you want is a scrap of piece of paper where you can hide the other portion. I am lining up my scrap paper right against that color block right there. And I'm going to do a partial cloud stamped here. That way it doesn't go over your postage. I am going to do on the other side of the ghost. So making sure that I ink up only half or more than half and stamp on the other side and lift. That protects the rest of your collage. I'm going to put my scrap on the side. So that is the cloud. Next up, we are going to stamp this circle that says Happy Halloween. Making sure, and it is going to go right in this corner over here and lift up. I just love the look on how you can add layers and it looks like stamps that you have. I am finding the small little spider web, and we're going to add it to 2 different spots. One in this corner and one at the bottom close to the spider that we just attached. There you go. And we need one more element on here, and it is the bat. There are 2 different sizes of bat. I use the biggest one. And I'm only going to ink up the big bat, making sure the little one is cleared, and taking my scrap. And I'm going to stamp my big one in this corner. So it looks like it's flying. And oops, that fell. There. And one last detail, because we really want this to look like postage stamps. Most sets have cents or dollars on it. So this one says 31 cents because of October 31st. And I add it into 2 places. I don't add it to all the blocks. I picked and choose which ones. So here is one. And one more at the bottom here. There. And we created the postage collage with the stamp elements. This is a great way to end, and you can do a lot. You can put this on a card panel and use it as is, or you can cut up each postage collage and use them interchangeably on a card. The next step I wanted to do is to make it spooky. I wanted it to glow, and I am going to apply the paste, the glow in the dark paste from Fawn. But before you add any paste to any projects, you want to make sure your inks are dry, whether it's the background or the actual stamp that you use. And because I'm using VersaFine Clear, which is a pigment ink, it is a slow drying ink. So you want to put it aside and let it dry. I already have a card base, well, a collage panel already dried and ready for me to go. So there it is. So this is completely dry. I like to give it an hour or so. If you are doing multiples, you can for sure just leave it overnight to dry and it's good to go. So let's add our paste. So we would need our stencil number 2, which is the one we just cleaned off. Here is stencil number 2, because I want the green parts to glow. And I am putting this right on top, matching where all those green stenciling was. You can use washi tape to hold it down. Because I am using paste, I did not want to use my grip mat. It'll be hard to take it off. So washi tape will work. And we're going to apply some paste. Another thing I have handy is right beside me on the top left corner here. I hope I don't spill. I have an aluminum foil filled with water. So once I am done with the paste, I can dump the stencil inside, and that way it doesn't harden on it. So I'm mixing up my paste. I just want to make sure it runs nice and smooth on it. I'm going to hold my stencil down, and I'm going to start from the top and go all the way to the bottom. So I just want to put a thin layer to make sure it is going to glow. Okay, so one more time. I want to really make sure the paste is inside those areas. Using my palette knife, I am going to lift whatever's extra and put it back, because I can use that on another project. So here, make sure you clean. I'm going to put my palette knife in the bath. I'm going to lift this slowly. This will also go into the water bath so it doesn't harden. And now, see that there is shiny spots there. It has the paste in that particular part. The paste does take a little bit of time to dry, so we will put this aside. I have one that already has paste on here, so that way we can continue to create our card. Next thing is we need a sentiment. I have a black cardstock here, any scrap depending on the sentiment you're using. I am going to stamp out "You Are Spooktacular," which my Misty is going to come handy. Let's put that in here. I'm just going to put powder on here so there's no static. And I am going to put my sentiment here. because I can cut down whatever I don't want. Make sure it is on the lid. I am using the Hero Art Unicorn Pigment ink to get that nice bold pink embossed look. So white on white is my favorite. So I'm just dabbing. I am going to push it down, and I will do it one more time. And push that down. Because it's a pigment ink, I really just want it to sit a little bit. Don't push too hard because you don't want it to spread. Once that is ready, I'm going to slide that. I am going to pour my powder. And pour the rest. Oops. There you go. Just slightly tap so you don't have extra powder everywhere. Make sure your powder is closed so that way nothing blows when you turn on your heat tool. Let's move that aside. I just want to make sure that I don't have powder everywhere. Sorry for the loudness. I'm going to heat set this. And there you go. Look how nice that is. So I still see some of my powder tool there. I'm letting this cool. I don't want to wipe it right away because it's still hot. It will smudge. So let's let that cool. And while that is cooling, let's put our postage collage on our back. I'm just using a tape runner here. And it goes a black border all the way around. There you go. And then we need our card base. So we can adhere it to our card base. So our card base folded is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I am going to stick this down flat. So it goes edge to edge. Oops, that was backwards. Edge to edge. And okay. Next thing is just gonna touch this slowly. It is dry. Let's grab our trimmer. And I'm going to cut this down a little bit smaller for my card. So a strip, a small rectangle. Trimming it down so there's equal distance left, right, top, and bottom. So there is a small sentiment that I am going to put foam squares right behind it. Oops. I grabbed 3, so I have one in the middle, and one at the other end. Gives it some stability. And we stick this on. So I have it just in this little corner. I don't want it to hide the spider. Just over there. And that is it. That is my spooky glow collage. So give me a second. I am going to turn off the light. Hopefully you'll be able to see the spookiness of it. I don't think the space is dark enough, but let's try and see if you can see how spooky it is. And I'll also leave the glow here so you can see how well that glows. So I hope you can see that glowing. Oh, yes, you can. So let me lift up the card. Look at that feature of that glow paste glowing. That's my favorite part of Lawn Fawn. You can even see in the bottle that it's glowing. Really cool product to use and to make things glow in the dark and spooky. So that is my little project for you today. It is our spooky glow collage. And as I mentioned earlier, for you tuning into our 5 videos, we have a World Cardmaking Day savings. Our coupon code is PAPERHUG24. You save 15% off your purchase. There is some exclusions. The coupon expires Monday, October 7th, 2024. To shop online, it's at www.papercraftersworkshop.ca. So this is a special code for anyone that is watching our videos. Enter that coupon when you check out on our online store to save today. Thank you for watching and joining us for World Cardmaking Day. Make sure you check out all 5 of our videos premiering today. I am Darlene, and I want to thank you and give you a hug of my own. Happy World Cardmaking Day. Thank you so much for tuning in.